I feel like we all just deep down we're like, I think I might be this, XYZ, but I'm not sure anybody else sees it possible for me or knows that it's like within me. One of mine for a long time, to give an example, was that I think I'm really kind of a more like, first of all, hello. I am feeling way too prescriptive about this video. Like, I've already started it 3 times and it just doesn't feel like it's getting off the ground because I'm overthinking it and I just need to get into it. So today, this week, we're talking about color analysis, we're talking about nose contouring, and we're talking about goddesses because as random as those things seem, they're orbiting around me and they're my biggest interest right now. And so we're going to talk about them and they actually do connect together. Let's start with color analysis. So last week I asked ChatGPT to look into my color palette and apparently I'm a true or a deep autumn. It wasn't totally sure, but I got the picture of like what colors to wear, which is perfect because as I was doing this, I was also talking to ChatGPT about my hair color, which as you can see always fades to like a red. I used a demi color if you watched that episode of me doing my own hair and taking out my extensions. And so it always fades to like a reddish brown, but the roots are actually a lot lighter than I thought that they were, which explains why the past like, I don't know, 15 years I've been on this sort of like never-ending treadmill of trying to keep up with my roots and constantly dyeing them, and it's just been a never-ending battle. What I did was I took a picture of my roots in like perfect sunlight, like on an overcast day, so it was kind of a muted direct sunlight, and it told me it's more of a mushroom brown, which has been my dream color. I love those like muted taupey mushroom browns, but I always go darker because I thought my roots were darker and they're not. And when ChatGPT told me that and identified the exact hex code of my root color, I remembered that when it grew back from chemo, it was like a taupey mushroom brown. And at the time I didn't love that because it wasn't big. There was no like Hailey Biebers running around with like mushroom brown hair. It wasn't even a word yet. I went straight back into like dyeing it darker, thinking as it grew out it would go back to the really dark roots that I had before chemo, but they never did and I just never acknowledged it. So we're gonna go to more of a mushroomy brown and we're gonna lean heavily into my color palette of autumn. I also have like yellowy green eyes. I'm close. I actually don't have to really like reinvest in a lot of makeup or anything. It's things like this. You can see this has gotten a lot of wear. This is the Morphe palette in Malibu. And I usually put this in the crease and this on top and then this in like the inner circle. Like that gold really brings out goldness to my eyes, which I love. And then a little bit of this back here. I'm obviously not doing my full makeup because I'm not a makeup artist. I'm not a makeup YouTuber. I'm a beauty YouTuber, but not even in the sense of like beauty. So leading into those kind of colors, we could be doing better. But the point is these colors, these like kind of autumnal, late summer reds, burnt oranges, those are my jam. These would be my lip palette. So this is the Viral Wonder Skin in Saddle. This one like kind of a cinnamony brown, which actually looks more natural than this one, funny enough. And then this is like a kind of reddish. This is called Ever. Then more like berry tones. These are the ColourPop Cloud Whip, I think they're called. They came with 3 and I wear them so much I don't even know where the other 2 are. They're somewhere in the orbit. Like I think one of them's in my purse and one of them's in the spare bedroom. And then a brown mascara instead of a black. I love this one from Lash Paradise. And it's just stunning. Got scared when it was autumnal, like, oh, can I fit into a summer? Like the summer, the actual season. And it actually works beautifully because those colors just feel very warm and rich and they kind of just bring out, you know, what I want to bring out. That's the first part. And I want to just put a pin in the conversation about beauty and about being my color season and enhancing in that way because we're going to pivot, but I'm going to connect them in a minute. The second thing I want to talk about is the books I'm reading. I actually brought this up in the blog that got deleted. If you saw last week, you know that I had a vlog that just didn't go out. This is where I'm at in life. I am reading all the books about what I thought was goddesses, and then I realized, no, it's about mortal women who become goddesses. Goddesses, goddess energy, divine feminine energy, I've always been really interested in that, and I got really deep into studying it a couple years ago. In fact, a friend of mine interviewed me on her podcast about the divine masculine and feminine and how those show up. I don't think I ever lose interest in it, but right now I'm right back into studying it, but from a different lens. Back then it was really divine feminine softness and lifestyle and mindset, and now I'm just looking into folklore and the way that these mortal women come into their immortal status, their legends, their legacies, their purpose, and why and how and what they have to overcome. Because a lot of times what these women go through in these stories, these Greek mythological stories are the same initiations we're going through right now. Jake's gonna shower, so we're gonna move this conversation somewhere more appropriate. Which is actually perfect because I did want to do a little update on the house. So we kind of redecorated our living room. As you can see, I moved the couch out from the wall. And then we wanted something here in this corner just to make it more dramatic. And I think the way that curtain worked out, absolutely love. Really widened the room and added a lot of dimension. And the kitchen and the dining room are a little bit of a mess right now, but I'll show you this little bar corner that we don't ever even use for drinking, but we finished this corner a little bit. It's become storage kind of, but this sign is from our wedding. It says "It was always you." That's a piece of artwork somebody made at our wedding for us, or not made it at the wedding, but gave it to us at the wedding. And then these are little pieces of art that a friend of mine made from Saunders Studios in Los Angeles, and I just love them, so I framed them. I just think they're so cute. Also, I also switched to a clean beauty perfume. This one's from Dime. It's 7 Summers, and it's totally non-toxic, clean ingredients. So if you have PCOS, your hormones are disrupted easily, any of the Dime products are going to be perfect, but I picked 7 Summers, the perfume, because it's just like the perfect feminine, but very elevated, light, carefree, summery scent, but it's still very like sophisticated. It smells very like expensive, but it was actually really, really affordable. And the fact that it's totally clean, non-toxic, and it got a really good rating from, I think the highest safety rating from the environmental working groups. If you're looking for non-toxic beauty, start with Dime. It also has sugarcane alcohol in it, which absorbs into the skin better than most perfumes, which makes it last a lot longer. So it lasts much longer than any other perfume I've worn. So anyways, I've been loving this one. So I got my husband the cologne version, and we're gonna open it and see if he likes the smell. I do have to film this vertically because I need to be able to use the clip for a TikTok, so stick with us for that. I've been wearing this clean beauty product for a couple weeks now. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. It's completely non-toxic and I love it so much. I got my husband the cologne version, so let's test it out and see if he likes it. The scent notes on this are rosemary, sprig, sparkling grapefruit, and dark rum.
Oh yeah.
It has like a nice leather kind of tobacco musk to it. It's very, very masculine, but it still smells very fresh, and it smells expensive. Like, it doesn't smell like one of those like cheap body spray kind of things. It smells very, very elevated and sophisticated.
Yeah, I love the smell of it so far.
Perfect. If you're looking for a non-toxic cologne for your guy, anything that's not going to disrupt his or your hormones, if either of you has sensitive skin, switch to Dime product. The #1 cologne smell is so good, very masculine, but very clean and fresh. I'm gonna link it in the cart for you so you can grab it before they sell out, because their products do sell out pretty quick. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so continuing the conversation about these books and why it might also resonate with you. Mortal women becoming immortal through initiations, through quests, through finding their purpose, through liberating themselves. And the first book I started with was The Palace of Eros. It's the story of Psyche falling in love with Eros. What the story is truly about, actually, is a woman who was so beautiful she was damned for it. She was hated by her sisters, by her father. Her beauty put other people in danger. She learns to liberate herself from that and fall in love with her own desires and realize that her own desires are worthy and that she has the power to fulfill them, and that having them doesn't make her wrong or bad. I think that's something that so many women can relate to. I certainly do. Not the parts about being so beautiful people hate me, not at all. And in fact, that's not at all what even this channel is about. It's about finding the beauty within yourself that actually doesn't need to be compared to anybody else. The beauty in yourself that actually doesn't need to be quantified or validated by anybody else. The beauty in yourself that doesn't need to be the same as, it doesn't need to fit a mold of beauty that anybody else has prescribed, just your own personal beauty, and realizing it doesn't harm anyone, including you, to experience that beauty. And what I mean by experience it is to be yourself, live the kind of lifestyle that you want, pamper yourself, cherish yourself, honor your body, anything that makes you feel more beautiful, and not just in the physical sense, but makes you feel more beautiful within your own life, more celebrated, more valued, more respected, more self-expressed. And that can happen in little moments of making your morning routine something more peaceful than it is right now, something that more brings you more joy, like has a more beautiful coffee mug and more time to sit in meditation and be quiet. Or it can be splurging on the beauty device that you've been having in your Amazon cart for forever. Or it can be dropping those expectations of beauty and quitting makeup altogether and learning to value and cherish your own natural beauty without any enhancements, and just being your natural self and liberating yourself that way. There's so many infinite paths to get there. And I know I talk a lot about beauty on this channel, and that's it's not at all the vain, the superficial, the surface level, the societal kind of beauty. It's not the beauty industry, although we use some of those tools and I love to indulge in those practices too. It's much more about the beauty underneath and our soul's expression. This one is about Medusa, and there's two lineages of the story Medusa. There's the story that she was always a villain, always a monster, born with snakes for hair, and that she could always turn people to stone. And in those, that's like the most traditional, the oldest story of Medusa's. Newer versions of it, the more modern renditions of Medusa, she was a mortal girl who was taken by force by Poseidon. I don't want to say the word because it could be very triggering, but taken by force by Poseidon, and she was punished for it. And a lot of the themes of these books is that women suffer the sins of men, which I think we still see in society today, which is men competing against one another and using their wives as trophies to do so, or men and narcissistic patterns, infidelity. So she was punished for that, even though it wasn't her fault. It was something that was a crime against her. She was still punished for it by her hair being turned to snakes and her eyes being turned to that everyone turns to stone, which was a very painful story for her. So this is that. It is pretty lighthearted if you kind of want to explore Medusa. And there's other stories and books. I think it's Carolyn Myss who wrote a book about Medusa, or at least a little bit of the folklore and the feminine rage, which I think is an incredible and super important and underrated part of divine feminine and beauty, is that women have the power to not only create but destroy. And feminine rage is an important part of that. Even our menstrual cycles are part of that life, death, life cycle, as the book Women Who Run with Wolves would say. So honoring that feminine rage and that part of us that needs to be, kind of angry and let out that emotion is actually necessary to our beingness, to our purpose, to our existence. And this book doesn't really touch on the feminine rage, but if you want to hear more about that, let me know in the comments. Atalanta wanted to be a warrior and fulfilled a warrior's life, was constantly seeking for validation and approval from authority, and constantly trying to just prove herself, earn her right to be there. And it is kind of a tragic tale, but it's very good. It's very beautiful. And I think if you're someone who does spend their life earning or trying to prove themselves or thinking they're not good enough, it might be a good book. And right now I'm reading this one, which I can't say much about because I just started last night. And Ariadne, her story is very tragic too. Instead of her beauty, it's that she does the right thing against the wishes of her family, which you might also resonate with if you wanted to be an artist and your family said you shouldn't. That's kind of my situation. If you wanted to have any kind of lifestyle that was different from your family's, or felt that your family's religion, belief system, anything was wrong, painful, bad, or you needed to break free from it for any reason, then the story of Ariadne might bring you some clarity on that. But the point is, these stories and the experience of being a woman today, back in ancient Greece, at any point, it does have these beautiful invitations for initiation, for liberation, and for us to free ourselves. And they're hard. They're dark nights of the soul. They're not easy. Even in talking about beauty, we are constantly marketed to with beauty telling us that something's wrong with us. And I've said many times here and in shorts and on TikTok, the most powerful thing you can do is actually realize that there's nothing wrong with you and that you are beautiful as you are, because that takes away all the power from the marketing schemes of any company, fashion, movies, music, makeup, body care products, weight loss products, literally anything. If you take that power back within yourself, they lose all hold over you. And that's exactly what I think this channel and what I am doing through it is being a girl who longed to feel beautiful, and not in the commercial approved of, cherished way of everybody else saying that she was pretty, but in being able to be myself, being able to be self-expressed. This vlog, this channel, the whole concept here is me going through the initiation of allowing myself to have that, to express my desire to feel beautiful by saying it to you, my exercise and exploration of it through doing different beauty treatments here on this channel, and my right to have that in a way that I don't have to fear harms anybody or brings me harm and rejection from anyone else, like it did when I was a child and dressing up like a princess and being told I wasn't good enough for that. That's how that kind of ties together what I'm reading right now. I highly recommend just starting this kind of Greek mythology kick if any of that is resonating. And last, to wrap that thought up, before we go to the library to drop off these books and get more books, Jake and I sat down the other night and we're talking about the ways that we've evolved since we got married, and especially him. Before we had gotten married, he'd never been to Europe. He didn't really prioritize fashion. but he'd had interest in those things. And so having a wife who literally worked in the fashion department of a brand and also really prioritized spending my money on travel, he got to indulge in those things, and it just opened up his worldview, opened up his view of himself, changed the way that he dressed, the kinds of foods he wants to go out to eat, so much about himself. And so we sat down and talked about how that challenge kind of brings these parts of you that you secretly think might be true about you, but you're afraid to admit to the world or afraid to start like exploring and presenting as. And we gave each other permission to do that. We gave each other permission to explore them and try them on in front of each other in ways that might otherwise be embarrassing, but now that we know that about each other and want to explore it, we get to do it with a lot more playfulness and support of one another until you grow into it, because you do have to try on these new pieces of yourself and allow them to be seen in the world if you want to eventually adopt them as your full identity. And it's not a changing of yourself, it's really a returning home of yourself. It can be really, really scary to put out the pieces of yourself that were... You want to say hi? Hi. I'm talking about the part, the conversation we had the other day about allowing yourself to embody and explore those pieces that you've always felt were kind of cringe and were scared to like express in front of other people, and how we're kind of like trying those on.
Cringy.
It's cringy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's uncomfortable.
It is. Is it uncomfortable in front of me to do that?
No. Yeah, it's nice to have a safe space to be able to do it, for sure.
I don't know if you can hear him because he's so far from my mic, but he's saying it's nice to have a safe space to do that, which I agree. So whatever yours might be, and you'll kind of know, I feel like we all just deep down know what they are. We're like, I think I might be this, XYZ, but I'm not sure anybody else sees it possible for me or knows that it's like within me. One of mine for a long time, to give an example, was that I think I'm really kind of a more like sensual woman. That was always considered a little bit dangerous when I was growing up, because it was an empowered form of a woman that was getting her power not from helping others, not from being caring, compassionate, motherly, maternal, all those things that we've talked about prior that good girls usually are working from. Good girls are usually high achievers, caretakers, maternal figures, put themselves last. They're incredibly humble to the point of self-deprecation a lot of times. And so being a sensual, embodied woman was kind of the antithesis of the good girl. And I had to explore that. I had to get out of that. And one of the ways I did was that I met my best friend, who still lives in Los Angeles, who taught me, no, there's no harm in you being sexy, feeling beautiful, feeling alluring, using your magnetism when you walk in the room, embodying yourself. In fact, she like so championed that and never, ever, ever felt threatened by me feeling beautiful in a way that I'd never had with a woman before, even women in my family or in my hometown or anything like that. She was the first woman that she seemed to feel more empowered, the more confident, beautiful, sexy, alluring that I felt, which was just such a gift. I've never experienced anything like that before, and she still makes me feel that way, and it really rewired my own brain of how women can treat each other, see each other. And so I got to explore that in a more public way with this best friend, this person beside me, this sister that just like helped me by setting her own example of it, and also just encouraged me every step of the way and allowed me to just be curious and try it on. So if you have something like that, if you have this like secret identity that you think you might have, you don't know if anybody else sees it for you, allowing yourself to explore places and people that are doing that can be a really empowering experience, which is why I'm reading these books and which is why I'm doing the work to sometimes study myself, as selfish as that might seem, like look into my color palette and see how I can be more me. If those books call to you for that same reason, great, try those. If not, take the risk to be a little selfish and study what it is about yourself that you want to become. But these are the ones I'm working on, and just kind of trying to identify those initiations, those quests that life is sending me on, those challenges that are inviting me to actually become more myself and create my legacy of being an embodied, sensual, powerful, self-assured woman who feels beautiful in her own skin no matter what, not because it's commercially beautiful, but because she's herself and gets to share that message. So let's go to the library. We're getting ready to go to the pool. Time to do some makeup. I'm honestly just like kind of practicing nose contouring. And by the way, I'm very much loving this bikini. I just think I have no tan on right now, so I'm very pale, but I feel like I love it. I love this bathing suit. Nose contouring is not my strong suit whatsoever. And I don't feel like I've ever gotten it down to be like that I'm good at it or found the best way. And today is like literally just for fun. So we're just gonna play with it and you can learn from what not to do more than what to do. I do feel like my nose is very prominent, and for the most part when I go out, because I don't feel super confident about contouring it, I just don't, and I just like lean into like, this is my nose. I have a prominent nose. This is just who I am. And it doesn't bother me that much when I just let it be me. But I thought it'd be fun because why not? So because I'm obviously just doing this for fun, I'm not gonna do like a full base under it. I'm gonna do this. And also, if you're a makeup artist out there or you're just like really good at makeup, go ahead and tell me what you see I do that I could improve. This is not a channel for me to teach you stuff. I'm learning out loud, and so feel free to help. So I'm gonna put this on underneath it just as a base. This is the Naked Sundays Beauty Barrier. It's a priming sunscreen. It's SPF 50 and it is a little light. It does rub in completely, but I got this as a sample. I do like it, except I find it does kind of run into my eyes. So I'm not even gonna put it anywhere near my eyes today. There's somebody out there being like, you were never meant to put it near your eyes, but I can't help it with sunscreen. I just like lather, I just go for it. Okay, so this is what I normally do. I'm taking this foundation today and I lighten up the sides and maybe a little bit of these under eye bags. Kind of make that area look like it's not so wide, because my nose tends to be like red, and it is today because we've been inside with the AC on. And then I take this, which is the Sachu Contour Liquid Contour. And I like the taupey coolness of that. And I put that, so I feel like when I can see shadows, like in direct, sunlight above here, I can see my nose. It looks wide under these kind of lights, but in reality, it actually has a shape like this. So it kind of opens at the end, and then it's kind of tapered right here. And then this bone is a little bit wider, not quite straight. So I usually take this and I kind of put it in those little kind of pockets. This is hard to do on a camera because I'm not quite straight on. I'll take my little blending brush and brush that into that little pocket and then blend it a little up the sides. And it's not a ton of color, it's just a little to kind of bring a little shadow to that part. And then I'll also take this one, which is a bronzing cream, but it's just what I have right now, and kind of darken it a little bit more so that it kind of opens. See how that bone comes that way? And then darkens the sides. A little bit here to lift the tip a little. And I kind of blend it out a little. And then I'll take some translucent powder and I'm gonna bake those sides. That looks like it's uneven, but in the mirror it doesn't look as uneven. See the shape? It's like there's like a flat part here and then it goes in. That's the natural shape that I'm like trying to enhance. I never used to bake. I thought it was just too heavy and too much. And for the most part, I still don't, because it does take a lot of time and I just don't want to give my time to that. But I actually did this for a wedding recently and I feel like it did turn out much, much better. Of course, I have no makeup here, so it's kind of jarring, right? Because it doesn't like blend with the rest of my face. I didn't do a very good job. If you're a makeup artist, I know that the lighting from this room is hitting this side harder, so you can see the shadows on this side more, which is a little bit trippy, but let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are, what your tips are. Give me a step-by-step tutorial. I would love to know. Anyway, to just wrap up this week, the further I go into this channel and figuring out what I'm about, what my message is about, what the point is, it's really becoming more and more what is beauty from a bigger, deeper, esoteric place than just like what makeup to use or what beauty tools or routines or how to glow up. It's that and the deeper parts underneath it that we're looking for when we do these behaviors of contouring our nose, of facials at home, whitening our teeth, putting on tanner, all these things. They're fun. They're meant to be fun. They shouldn't be to fix or correct ourselves. They should be just to cherish and honor and be playful in the ways that we present our beauty, which is inherent and doesn't need a single thing, but we get to do it if we want to. Thank you for watching this episode. If you liked it, please give it a comment below. Be sure to like it, subscribe it, share it with a friend. This channel is growing and I would love to just be part of your YouTube routine, what you watch on the weekends, or something you talk about with your friends, and a place that you can share thoughts, desires, that secret identity that we were talking about. Put yours in the comments. Like, let's just be more open about that and create a place where we can all be ourselves and cherish and celebrate each other and ourselves, our beauty, our power, all the things. I'm posting every single weekend, typically on Saturday mornings. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And thank you for being here, and thank you for subscribing. It really, really helps the channel and me. And I just love that you're here and that we're making this together. I will see you next weekend.